do you think what happened in Kenya, just like what happened actually in Hensas?
Correct.
And those enough signals for people to say, hey, look, our own enlightened self-interest might actually be at stake here?
Well, precisely, yes. If they don't want to, my people have a proverb that the fly that does not listen to advice ends up in the grave with the dead body. Yes? And if the politicians are unwilling to take heed of what's happening in different parts of, we've just seen, you've seen what is happening in the Sahel, for instance, right?
Yeah.
With these young boys in military fatigues.
Right.
You saw Mali with rigged elections. And in Mali, actually, our politicians have not looked beyond Kenya, but Mali should provide us with some insight. In Mali, a ruling party used the judiciary to steal the seats won by the opposition. That was the beginning of the Malian uprising. And that uprising happened. Indeed, they deployed President Jonathan to help to manage it. And he was trying to manage it and, giving and, making proposals that were going to keep the ruling party in power. And the people told them, we are tired of this. They got the Constitutional Court sacked, and they said, no, we are no longer happy for you to just sack a corrupt judiciary. We want you to sack the entire government. And that's exactly what happened. So the president then sacked the government. They said, no, we want you to go too. And then the military came in. Now, so there is that. And nobody really wants a return to military rule.
Absolutely not.
Because people will be listening to this and thinking that's what I'm asking for. But nobody wants a return to military rule. And if people don't want a return to military rule, the politicians have to start behaving as if the country matters to them.
Absolutely.
And the chairman of INEC and his staff have to start behaving as if the country matters to him. Because when he is done ruining the country and manufacturing figures from votes that didn't take place, he will understand that he does not have another country to go to. This is it. For him, for all of us.
Right.
And a Nigeria that goes belly up is too difficult to contemplate.
So we have to avoid that by every possible means.
By every possible means, we've got to avoid that possibility. Will people try to undermine it? Of course they will, because it's in their self-interest to do so.
Right.
But there are institutions we cannot afford to go bad. And I count three amongst those.
Okay.
In no particular order. INEC, the judiciary, the anti-corruption agencies. And that's why I go very hard on them in my private life and in my public intellectual life. I go hard on them because these are the sentinels at the door of the people who will inflict destitution on the country.
Or secure.
Secure the country, absolutely, yes. And if we don't make these institutions work for us, it's going to be impossible to save it.
Very true. Very true. And, so that leads me to the issue of our national discourse now. So some of the things, and it's good to have someone like you, to raise these issues. Some of the challenges that I have seen, especially after I served, in the government for 8 years, is the silence, if I can say that, the loud silence of people who ought to be speaking up. Now, I have had in these last several months, I've had a lot of interactions with many of the key players, old and new and current. And look, everybody, we agree, well, not everybody, most of us agree as to the depth of the crisis and the need for things to be done right. But guess what? Most people just don't want to say it publicly.
Table manners.
In your own view, what do you think explains that? Is it just part of the crass opportunism of the political elite, or is there something in our DNA that makes us to say, let's just calm down? Because I think we can enlarge the democratic space if we speak up. Like you said, we don't want military rule. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But if we don't change the tone of our public discourse, what is left for people to do who want to speak out?
I said table manners, and I still think actually it's mostly table manners and table manners is a multidimensional thing. For those who think they are eating now, obviously, those are the people we can see. But there are also lots of people who have eaten previously, and are waddling about in their proverbial pot bellies, and have a lot of things to hide, right? But cannot, and because of the fact that they actually have a lot of skeletons in their cupboard, not speaking out is an act of self-preservation. And there are lots and lots of them. You then have the people at the bottom of the rung, who are the people who have been destituted by all of this, who simply cannot suffer the distraction of trying to speak out because actually subsistence and just making ends meet and finding one square meal on
they don't even have a voice, actually.
Precisely. So all of this is about the table and the kitchen, in my view. And the national kitchen table has now been, in a sense, arrested, appropriated by a narrow political gang. That's actually the word. I think it's a gang. And people like to tribalize and ethnicize that. It is not tribal and it's not ethnic. It's a gang. It's like a crime. It's a crime, a criminal racket. And when you're going into a criminal racket, you're not looking for people in your ethnic group. You're looking for people who answer to particular person's specification.